Hello, everyone. Welcome to Big Time Entrepreneurial Academy, a place where knowledge is shared. We train on fish farming, cosmetology. We also train on beauty and skincare products, fascinators, turbans, auto gele, bridals, umbrella, clutch purse, throw pillows, confectionery, and lots more. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to class. Today we'll be learning how to make beans flour. We'll be making beans flour. Beans flour can be used to make moi moi, also be used to make akara or thickener. Moi moi is a special delicacy in Nigeria that most homes enjoy. And also, Akara is also a special delicacy in Nigeria that most homes enjoy, especially in the morning. As the name implies, beans flour will be made with beans. So, I choose to use iron beans to make my beans flour. You can also choose to make it with any other type of beans. Some people use akara beans. There's a special beans called akara beans. But I personally prefer using iron beans because it gives me the thickness and it gives me this feeling of perfection. Akara beans doesn't give me that. So first of all, I am going to select my beans. As you can see, you take off all the chaffs from the beans and take off all the stones from the beans. When you get your beans from the market, you see some chaff and stone and sand and what have you. So just like you are selecting for your cooking, you select your beans as if you want to cook. This process may take a little time, but definitely when you're done, it's worth it. So take your time, select it so that it will be sand free. Yeah, you see right here that I'm almost done selecting my beans. You could see the chaff that was in the beans, and the beans is now free of chaff, stones, and sand. So if you do it with this chaff and stone, you are definitely not going to enjoy the outcome because it will be sand all through. So you see all the fields that were in the beans. I've selected them and set them aside. Now my beans is ready for washing. So the next step you are going to do is put these beans inside a bucket. Please do not let your chaff get into the beans. Do not let the stones get into the beans. Put it inside a bucket, pour some water inside it. I'm going to be using my crater. You see this crater? You could as well use your hand. You can use your hand if you wish to, but this crater saves me a lot of time and a lot of energy that I could be using with my hand. So just rub it over the crater and let the beans peel off. Let the peel of the beans come off. You see that? That's what we want to do. We don't want to grind it. So don't press it down your crater. Do not press it down. Just softly on your crater and let it peel off. Let the peel come off the beans. This process also takes a longer time. But if you want something good, you have to take your time. There are no shortcuts to it. Then, this process, some people do skip it. That is why you see some beans flour come out dark. It come out dark. The flour doesn't look bright. It doesn't really look whitish. It is supposed to look whitish, the finished product, I mean. But some people just skip this process and dry off their beans. Just wash off without taking off the peel and dry off. But I take my time to do this. At this point, it's softened, is really softened, so I could use my hand to do it. Like I said, you can use your hand from the beginning, but see the little quantity of beans I take in my hand. It would have taken me a longer time to wash it off with my hand. But when it's softened completely, your hand can do the magic. So just try to get off like 70 or 80% of the peel of the beans. So when you get it off the beans, you could as well pour your water inside. Pour some water inside, still continue rubbing. The remaining one can go off. You continue rubbing in, rubbing in, rubbing in. Like I said, some people do skip this process. You filter, you filter your beans. The water comes out with the chaff. You see, the chaff goes out and the beans is gradually becoming clean. You can see what we are having is not as, the peel is not as much as it was before. So you continue the process. If you have water, if you have access to running water, you could just use a fresh batch whenever you want to filter. When you pour out the first one, you fill in the bucket again with a fresh water and you pour it out, fill it up again. So you see that some beans will go off with the peel. You can select them and return them to the bucket, to the main of beans. Then you filter, you free your filter, you filter it once more time. You add water again, you add water again to it and filter it. Like I said, if you don't have access to running water, if you don't have much water, what you do is you can wash with the same water like 3 to 4 times, pour it out and wash, add fresh water to it, wash it again 3 to 4 times. This process takes up to, it takes a long time. It takes time though. Then you can filter it up to 10 times, 20 times until you get the result you're looking for. You see this now, the peel is almost off. At this point, you could use your hand to pick out the remaining peel. That's what I'm doing right now. Use your hand to pick it out. Use your hand to pick out what's remaining. Like I said, some people do this without peeling it. It comes out dark. They like it that way. If you want to take that process, it's just to wash your beans, not to remove the peel, put it in the water, wash off the dust or the chemical used in preserving it. Then you sun dry it. You see, my beans is now clean. It's clean. So the next process for you to do is to lay your bag or lay whatever you're using to dry your beans on the floor. I've cut out the sack bag, open up a sack bag, lay it on the floor. I can't put my beans on the floor like that to avoid sand. So lay it on the floor, then you pour your beans on top. you need a good weather for this. You need a good weather for this. You can sun dry these beans for 3 to 4 days depending on the weather. You need a very sunny weather for this. You need a very sunny weather for this. 3 to 4 days. Like this particular beans, I did it in the Hamatan. I sun dried it for 3 days and it gave me a perfect dry beans. This is my dry beans now. See how dry it is? Has to take effort to break. It is perfectly dry. You have to completely dry the beans so that you don't need to add preservatives to it. With this, I can store my beans for 3 to 6 months without it getting spoiled. So I'm ready to go to the mill. I've packed my beans. You can also use dehydrator to dry this, but in the absence of that, just use your sunlight to dry the beans. It is perfectly dry. Like I said, I store it for up to 6 months. I do not need to add preservative. That's what I use in my family. Anytime I want, I just take a scoop from where I store it and replace it. That is it. It has to be completely dry. So you can use your blender to grind this, but blender doesn't give me the a fine texture of the powder. It doesn't. So I take it to the mill to grind. I have to take it to the mill to grind. So this is the meal now. You can try with your blender. It might give you a powdered consistency, but I really need it very powdered. You see the dust is flying. It's very fine texture that I need. You don't just grind it once or twice, over and over and over and over. It can take up to 10 times, but the outcome is going to be worth the process. So you grind it over and over and over and over again to get a very fine texture, a very fine powdered without how do I say, without the chaff, without the tiny particles. We don't need particles on them. Just need a very fine this thing without the particles on them. So when you are done, you are going to get something like this. You see how that looks like. Doesn't have particles on it, just like powder, just like powder. That is the consistency we are looking for. That's the texture we are looking for. That's the outcome we are looking for. If it comes out like tiny particles inside it, you need to grind it again. You definitely need to grind it again. So this is used for moi moi. Like I told you, moi moi is a very important delicacy in the life of a Nigerian. Also used for Akara. Some people equally use it as thickener or to make beans soup. So please try out your beans powder today and send a feedback to us. For recipe on how to make moi moi or Akara, if you need the recipe, please do send us a message so that we can drop it especially for you. Do subscribe to our channel so that when next we drop another video of another special recipe, you could see it. You could have a notification for it. So thank you for watching and remain blessed.